Now on CoastTV News.
A Rehoboth water rescue, not your average rescue. A young attendant getting the job done. 3 rescued in Ocean City. What OC Beach Patrol says you should know about the rough surf. Delaware surf fishing beaches closures. What you need to plan around if you're heading out to certain beaches tomorrow.
And it was an absolutely gorgeous day on Delmarva today as temperatures got up into the low 80s. Right now we're holding in the 60s and 70s. It's a pleasant night. We have a warm Sunday ahead and then an autumn-like chill into next week. We'll talk all about it coming up.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11. Thank you for sticking with us here after NASCAR. We begin tonight with water rescues in Ocean City and Rehoboth Beach. Starting in the nation's summer capital, a teen swimmer was rescued this morning in Rehoboth Beach by a young beach attendant. Just before 9:45 this morning, the teen signaled for help. The young attendant quickly swam out with a boogie board, helping the teen stay afloat until lifeguards arrived. In Ocean City, 3 young swimmers were rescued from a rip current off OC's coast on Friday after being pulled into deep waters between guarded beach areas. Ocean access was limited to ankle deep due to dangerous surf, but the girls entered the water outside of the designated swim zones.
They were either non-swimmers or very, very poor swimmers, but luckily the guards were already on the way to tell them, and they had to make a rescue. And had the guards not been there, had they done that before we went on duty or in the evening after we went off duty, we'd be talking about 3 potential drownings today.
The mayor of Chincoteague is calling on federal officials to help protect the island from land loss on the heels of Hurricane Erin. Denise Bowden says the town has been advocating for intervention at the Chincoteague Inlet long before her time as mayor. Bowden posted this video to social media showing the state of the inlet while Hurricane Erin passed by Thursday.
It just got me fired up so much because the town of Chincoteague has done everything that we can. We have beat on doors. We have been in talks with the Army Corps of Engineers. We have been to Richmond. We've talked to senators. We've had senators here. We've done everything, and we get nowhere. We get nowhere. The south end of Chincoteague is slowly washing away, and it's all because of that inlet.
For articles ranging from bay flooding to the rough surf conditions and everything Hurricane Erin on Delmarva, you can head to CoastTV.com. And the time is now 11:21, a little later than usual, Chris. And we're going to take a live look into Ocean City. And Chris, this week, Delmarva got everything it could handle from Hurricane Erin. And Chris, Hurricane Erin also testing you out. Shout out for covering the morning and evening broadcast on Thursday and Friday.
Thanks a lot. I do everything I can to inform everybody, keep everybody safe and abreast of all the weather we have here on the peninsula. And I'll tell you what, in the midst of all the issues at the coast, temperatures have been all over the place this week. Remember, we were at 68 Tuesday. We've been bouncing around in between the 70s and 80s over the last 4 days. 81 today. I mean, it was absolutely picture perfect today, aside from the rip current issue we have at the coast. 81 Salisbury, 81 in Cambridge, 78 in Ocean City. It's been a pleasant night, mild, 74 in Ocean City. We're seeing more of a southerly flow, and that's going to allow for a little bit of humidity to start creeping back into the picture here on the peninsula. 73 Lewis, 67 Milton. We're at 64 Bridgeville and 66 Laurel. Winds are pretty calm for most of the area. Still seeing some gusts at the coast, upwards of 15 to 20 miles an hour. Free of any precipitation. Keeping an eye on this front back off to the west. That's going to be advancing eastward as we push into the day tomorrow. Not expecting a whole lot of moisture out of this front. Could see an isolated storm. We have that pesky rip current risk continuing as seas slowly begin to calm. And then next week, I'll tell you what, it gets even better. We're looking at a prolonged stretch of dry, comfortable weather as we push into even Labor Day weekend. Temperatures along the coast tomorrow, generally in the upper 70s to low 80s. Could see a bit more in the way of cloud cover. There's going to be a weak disturbance that passes to our south. I think the further south you go in Delmarva, the more clouds you may see, at least early on in the day. Coming up, we'll talk about a new tropical storm in the Atlantic, and we'll talk about that extended forecast here in a little bit. Brandon.
Thank you, Chris. All drive-on surf fishing beaches at Delaware Seashore, Fenwick Island, and Cape Penelope State Parks will be closed to vehicles tomorrow. 3 R's Beach will remain open by reservation only through, and Sunday reservations have already been canceled and refunds have been given out. And take a look at this on your screen. This flooding closed down Route 1 Thursday night just south of Dewey Beach. And meanwhile, on the north side of the Indian River Inlet, you can see major erosion. DENREC says right now early erosion tests show at least 10 to 14 feet of dune has already been washed away.
Lounging on the north side of the Indian River Inlet.
It's a beautiful day on Delmarva.
A wildly different scene than we got just 24 hours earlier. This was the north side of the inlet on Thursday as the coast was pelted by heavy waves and winds. While the sun was out today and the winds calmed down, what Erin stole from the coast is evident. Erosion ripping away huge chunks of sand and dune. Meanwhile, just a few miles north of the inlet on Route 1, Bayside flooding shut down the major roadway overnight.
DelDOT says they will continue to monitor this area today and throughout the weekend to see if they possibly have to close Route 1 again. Now, if we take a look to my left, you can see where this water is coming from off of the bay here on Tower Road. And now as we get lower onto the road, you can see the consistent current pushing this water down towards the end of Tower Road.
DENREC official Kathleen Bergen says Bayside flooding is unique to this storm.
This storm in particular just happened to have very strong winds that were driving the water into the inland bays.
Back to the inlet where local surfer Elijah Jones got a up-close look at the waves today.
Now they're huge. I couldn't imagine what yesterday was, because if it has to come up, if it can come up here and take all this sand away like that, it's got to be crazy. It's got to be huge.
It's not yet clear on how much it will cost to fix all this, and it's not clear yet where the money will come from.
We're working very closely with our lawmakers and our upper leadership to develop a long-term solution plan here.
While the sun is now shining down on Delmarva yet again, Erin has left more than just footprints in the sand.
DENREC says the Army Corps of Engineers is coming to the Indian River Inlet to do a beach renourishment event in September. And this brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know what worries you most about beach erosion. Let's take a look at the updated results from last night at 11. So far, majority 59% saying replenishment cost, with 30% saying beach damage. If you haven't voted yet, you still can on our mobile app or on CoastTV.com. And check out these images on your screen now. The Milton Fire Department says a car crash on Coastal Highway near Broadkill Road overnight caused this fiery scene. According to the department, EMS transported one patient from the scene. Delaware State Police are currently investigating the cause of the crash. Traffic was snarled in Cambridge this morning after a FedEx van caught on fire. The Cambridge Rescue Fire Company shared these images of the fire on Route 50 and Heron Boulevard. It happened just after 11 a.m. Details are still limited, but the images show a FedEx van engulfed in flames. Maryland State Police joined fire crews on the scene. The cause of the fire is not clear at this time, and no injuries have been reported yet in that Cambridge fire. Now to national news. Lyle Menendez was denied parole Friday night, just one day after his brother's bid was also rejected. Lyle and Eric Menendez were both found guilty of the 1989 murder of their parents inside their Beverly Hills home. They were charged and arrested in 1990. The Paroles Board's decision is not final, though. Jen Sullivan explains the next steps in this ongoing saga around their possible release.
A crippling blow in the brothers' fight for freedom. Eric and Lyle Menendez both denied parole this week. Friday, Lyle Menendez appearing virtually for his parole hearing. His denial coming 24 hours after his brother Eric was also denied parole. The two brothers were convicted of murdering their parents inside their Beverly Hills home. The bodies of Jose and Kitty were found with multiple bullet wounds.
They shot their parents to make it look like a mafia-style killing. Shooting their dad in the back of the head, they reloaded a shotgun and shot her at point-blank range.
During Lyle's parole hearing, he said there was zero planning and the decision to buy guns had been, quote, somewhat impulsive and for emotional protection, and also the biggest mistake. The brothers have long said they killed their parents out of fear after a lifetime of abuse and shot them in self-defense. Now in their 50s, Eric was 18 and Lyle 21 at the time of their parents' murder. They were later sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In May, their sentences were reduced, making them eligible for parole. But this week, both brothers were found to be a moderate risk to public safety and denied release.
That was a caution flag to the parole board.
There will be an internal review by the full parole commission, which can take up to 120 days. Then California Governor Gavin Newsom has 30 days to reverse, approve, or modify the decision if he chooses to, but he could act sooner.
They also have a clemency petition. That's a process where the governor could step in at any time.
Even if the parole board's recent ruling stands, the brothers could get another shot at parole in 2027. I'm Jen.
We are just getting started here on Coast TV News at 11. Teal ribbons popping up in Lewis, the message behind the color. We have that later on in our newscast.
Well, our Sunday, another decent day. We'll see a bit more in the way of cloud cover needs initially on in the day, for especially further south you go in on the peninsula. 78 to 81. High risk of rip currents continues. I'll let you know how long the rip current risk sticks around and when some really cool weather arrives coming up.
But first, we have all of the top stories from Delmarva this week. We'll be back in just 60 seconds. From playground problems in Lewis to Hurricane Erin hitting Delmarva. There was a lot going on this week here on the coast. Charlie Sakaitis has a look at our week in review.
Monday, Coast TV reported that some parents are worried about the proximity of the Canal Front Park playground in Lewis to the water. Those parents calling for a fence around the playground, saying it's a safety issue. Tuesday, a rule change in Ocean City allowing bikers and skateboarders on the boardwalk from midnight to noon. Previously, riders were not allowed until 2 a.m. and they had to be off by 11 a.m. Supporters say this is going to help workers be safe as they make the trip home after their shifts. Wednesday, Lorette Health Center announced that they have teamed up with a bilingual outside organization to run their call center. Lorette says they have also added new providers in primary care, pediatrics, and behavioral health, all of whom are now accepting new patients. Thursday, the height of the impact of Hurricane Erin, the storms well off the coast did cause flooding and shut down coastal beaches. By Friday, the storm had moved on, but the damage was still being revealed. Coastal erosion along a number of beaches, continued flooding, and dangerous rip tides still causing problems on Delmarva. For a full accounting of the ongoing issue, check CoastTV.com. For your week in review, I'm Charlie Sakaitis.
South Carolina flooding. We go down the coast and see how Hurricane Erin hit the Carolinas.
And Marstina's still some residual effects from Erin in the form of some coastal flooding this evening. We'll talk more about that, but nice look for your brunch forecast tomorrow morning under partly sunny skies. We'll talk about a newly named tropical storm in the Atlantic coming up in your full 7-day forecast. Well, it has been a beautiful past few days despite some residual effects from Hurricane Erin as the seas slowly begin to calm. Had some wave heights 6 to 8 feet today. Still going to see that high risk of rip currents as we go into the day on Sunday. 74 right now in Ocean City. Winds are out of the south at about 10 miles an hour up the coast. Bethany 73, 73 in Rehoboth. We're at 73 Lewis, 64 Bridgeville to 64 in Milford. Dew points creeping up a bit. We're in the lower to mid 60s, so we're going to see an increase in some moisture from the south as far as the dew points are concerned through the overnight. But we're pretty clear, we're pretty dry as far as any precipitation goes. Little cluster of showers and storms in West Virginia and Pennsylvania. This cold front, though, is going to be pushing into our area come tomorrow night. Now, we have a coastal flood advisory. That's up through 2 a.m. This was primarily for the high tide this evening, so we passed kind of the worst of the impacts of that. Small craft advisory up through 6 a.m. and then that small craft advisory to the south is up through 7 a.m. Now the coastal flood warning for the Bayside, Dorchester, Somerset Wacomico, that is for high tide over the next few hours. So we could be seeing about a 1 to 2 feet of inundation in those low-lying areas. And we also have the small craft advisory up through 2 a.m. Well, here's Tropical Storm Fernand. Doesn't really look like much, and see it sustained winds at about 40 miles an hour. This will be a fish storm, not going to affect anyone, and will likely stay as a tropical storm and lift up into the North Atlantic. But we are in the peak of the season now, and we're really going to hit that peak in September, really through at least the start of October. So we're going to see things begin to ramp up here over the next few weeks in the basin. 62 to 67 overnight under partly cloudy skies, a pleasant start, and we're going to see a bit more clouds to start tomorrow, I think, but partly sunny skies through the afternoon. Highs generally in the lower to mid 80s tomorrow. We're looking at highs 83 to in Seaford, 83 Cambridge, to 82 Princess Anne, and 80 in Ocean City. Again, that high risk of rip currents continues tomorrow for the entire Delmarva coastline. Waves 3 to 5 feet. As I mentioned, humidity rising just a bit into our Sunday and Monday, and then look at that plunge behind that second front that comes through Tuesday. We're going to have some really nice dry air in here through middle of next week. Tomorrow, though, partly sunny skies, and then we'll see that front come through. Maybe a slight chance of an isolated shower or storm tomorrow evening. Not a whole big threat there. And then by Tuesday morning, that dry air moves in. Chincoteague temperatures generally in the lower 80s over the next 3. As we make our way into Ocean City, 79 on Monday, 75 on Tuesday. Fenwick Island looking pretty nice too. Partly cloudy skies through Lewis and Rehoboth with that isolated chance of a storm as we go into tomorrow evening. And then there's that front that comes through Tuesday. We get a big dome of high pressure that builds in here, and we're looking at a taste of autumn as we push into the middle part of next week. Look at some of those lows as we go into Wednesday and Thursday morning, and we stay pretty dry through the start of Labor Day weekend.
Thank you for that, Chris. A breath of fresh air with this sunshine coming up. A portion of Charleston, South Carolina was under a flash flood warning earlier today. You can see heavy flooding on your screen now. A slow-moving front and heavy rain, including thunderstorms, are to blame. And you can see that flooding took place across some lower elevated areas of Charleston earlier today, closing a number of roads for safety. Coming up, potential furniture tariff increase. President Trump launching an investigation into imported furniture. But first, teal ribbons popping up in Lewis, the message behind the color. We have that story after the break. Volunteers in Lewis took time this week to turn the town teal. It's a part of a national campaign to raise awareness for ovarian cancer. September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. That's why it's so important for women to know the signs and symptoms of ovarian cancer to catch the cancer at an early stage. That's the goal of Turn the Town Teal.
The symptoms of ovarian cancer,
whether it's bloating, whether it's difficulty going to the bathroom, feeling full quickly,
can seem small and easy to blow off, all while testing for the disease doesn't exist.
And that's why it's so deadly. Cervical cancer is found by a pap smear. There's no way at this point to detect ovarian cancer.
It's why Sally Oberly, Jan Gilmore, and a whole team of volunteers spent the day tying these ribbons around Lewis, turning the town teal.
I was diagnosed in 2013, and it was a surprise. I went directly into, I had surgery, and then I had chemo.
A survivor herself, Gilmore says the impact is wider than many might think.
It's not just women, it can be infants, children, teenagers.
The hope is that every teal ribbon can be the start of a conversation.
It's the visual to get people to talking. You know, what are those teal bows? And then when we have the packets that we hand out to the businesses, we have the brochures and other information to follow up.
A simple gesture with a big message.
Not just Lewis, you'll find teal bows up around Milton, and volunteers are also heading to Rehoboth and Dover this upcoming week to do the same. Now to national tariff news, the cost of imported furniture may soon go up. President Trump announced in a social media post that his administration will launch an investigation into imported furniture. He says the investigation will take 50 days. And once it's completed, he says he will impose a tariff on imported furniture. He said the rate has yet to be determined. Trump wrote the move would bring the furniture business back to the U.S. The State Department has paused issuing work visas for foreign commercial truck drivers. On Thursday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the increasing number of foreign drivers is, quote, endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truck drivers, end quote. The Post did not give a further explanation for the decision. It comes after the Department of Transportation said it was investigating a truck driver accused of making an illegal U-turn that caused a deadly wreck in Florida. After the break here on Coast TV News at 11, as we take a live look into Rehoboth Beach, we have a final check on your forecast. With a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV, it's full of features, cool things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up now for our Feel Good Friday newsletter at coasttv.com/sign-up. And get this, tomorrow marks National Waffle Day because it was August 24th way back in 1869. That was when the first waffle iron was patented. But the breakfast treat was around for hundreds of years before that. The first known recipe dates all the way back to the 14th century. Chris, are you more of a waffle guy or a pancake? Myself, I'm a pancake guy, but you can't go wrong with a few waffles either.
No, I'm actually with you. I'm more of a pancake guy. In fact, I actually had a waffle this morning with a little two strawberry waffles with a little strawberry jelly in the middle of it.
There you go.
You even put some Nutella in it too. That's pretty good. Well, it's been a pretty pleasant evening out there. Temperatures tonight falling in the low to mid 60s. We're at 65 in Salisbury. Winds pretty calm. Rain chances going to be far and few between over the next 7 days. We could see an isolated shower or storm Sunday night through early Monday, but there you see, I mean, we're going to really settle into a nice dry weather pattern here this week. 84 inland, 83 eastern shore, partly cloudy skies, 78 at the coast. You get your forecast anytime by dialing the First Look weather phone, sponsored by Broxton Mundalis Federico. 85 on Monday. Another cold front comes through, and check out this autumn-like air. 54 Wednesday morning. We're going to see some nice lows Wednesday and Thursday morning, and right now looking pretty good in the Labor Day weekend with temperatures well below average in the 70s.
Thank you for that, Chris. Looking good, and thank you for joining us here for a little later edition of Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, you can download our Coast TV News app. Have a great night.